Welcome to Seth's Daily Podcast. Without you guys, this wouldn't be possible. I want to thank you guys for subscribing. We're sponsored by Not Bottom Cabins. The link to book a room will be in the description. And yeah, I want to thank Not Bottom Cabins for sponsoring us. And if you want to be a sponsor, it's $1 a month and subscribe to my Patreon. It's definitely a steal. You get a shout out every episode. And back again is Tracy. How are you doing tonight, man?
Doing good, man. Dodging raindrops.
And I know your episode of In Dark Places just dropped yesterday.
Just come out yesterday. You can hear it on iTunes, YouTube. Go to the Facebook page In Dark Places, or if you have a story and you want to tell us about it, we don't need to know your name or where it's at. Just send us your story, or you can come on either way. The show that is In Dark Places Pod at hotmail.com. Wrote it down, brother. Got it.
Hey, you finally got that. After that's hard to remember though. That's a lot of work.
That is, man. I mean, if you could see my board right here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12-ish Post-it notes with all kinds of different stuff on it. I try to remember. So,
Well, we're blessed enough to have a guest, and he's heard nothing but good things about him as a singer and a person. And he's gonna start us off with a song. Actually, Reed Gilliam, how are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing well. How are y'all?
Doing good, man. And I heard you sang last night, actually, through Facebook, man, and you absolutely killed that show.
Thank you. I was lucky to happen to be the guy that was there with a guitar. And they asked me if I'd get up and do a number, so I lucked out.
I've been watching you through YouTube, a few of your videos, and Facebook both, and I couldn't really pinpoint. I like to try to put voices and genres together, and I was thinking, there's a little raspiness, there's a little Chris Stapleton in there, and then I heard you sing a song, and I said, "That's Greg Allman." I mean, I was like, "Dude, that's Greg Allman right there. Come on."
That's the first time somebody has told me that. That's an honor.
That's it, and that's just how my ears and my mind work. When I hear something, and it just automatically, that's whoever I think of at that moment, that's who I put association with. So yeah, you were actually even doing a Greg Allman song when I was listening to that, and when I was listening to it, I was like, man, if I close my eyes, I can't hardly tell the difference. That was cool.
I grew up listening to my dad sing because he played music my whole childhood and stuff, and so I always tell people I'm just doing bad impressions of him. But a lot of people don't realize that I don't come from a country music background. So when I started hearing Chris Stapleton and people like that to get compared to, I was really confused at first because I didn't know who they were. And I grew up on, Elvis Presley, Dio, and Paul Rogers. Like, I wanted to be Chris Cornell as a kid. I still do.
I got you.
I think everybody wants to be Elvis, though.
Oh yeah,
you must be pretty close to a prodigy of either the late 80s or early 90s there.
I'm a 95 model.
Are you? Okay.
Still a kid.
I got you. Yeah.
What song are you gonna sing for us this evening?
Well, I was going to start you off with one of my originals, but now that he said something, I'll bust out Whipping Post.
Oh yeah, that's what I was listening to. Yeah,
it's the shortest Whipping Post anybody does, but I do it.
That's fine. That's fine.
All right.
Run down some crosstown bar. Sometimes I feel, sometimes I feel like I've been tied to a whipping post, tied to a whipping post, tied to a whipping post. Good Lord, I feel like I'm dying. My friends tell me I've been such a fool, but I have to sit back and take it, babe. Oh, for loving you, drowning my sorrow. When I look at what you've done, nothing seems to change. Bad things stay the same, and I can't run. Sometimes I feel, sometimes I feel like I've been tied to a whipping post, tied to a whipping post, tied to a whipping post. Good Lord, I feel like I'm dying.
I don't even know what to say, man, but you absolutely killed it. And that's honestly, not to disrespect anybody or anything, that's honestly the best performance that I've had on the show.
Well, thank you very much. I'm just doing impressions of my old man.
That's some good stuff right there, man. And I mean, how cool is it? Like like I just seen recently, you were playing with, our buddy Wes,
Love him.
and Logan. And I mean, what's it like to get when you guys get together and even either on a show or in a show or after or before, and you guys are just kind of sitting around, just maybe picking a minute and just you'll hear Wes and you'll think, man, that's pretty cool. And then you'll play something. What's it like just to be around those guys?
It's like it's like you get to step into a different world. I'm no longer Reed Gilliam. I get to be the fly on the wall and go, man, I got to figure out how to do what he's doing.
Yeah.
That's it. Like last night was the first time I ever met Logan. Great guy. He was super cool, very talented, as anyone who's heard of him knows. But being around Wes is like being with family. Since the first time I met him, he's just so down to earth and like and he doesn't just blow smoke up your butt. So many people will tell you whatever you want to hear. And I showed Wes a new song I wrote the other day, and overall he seemed to like it, but he cares about me enough that he said, maybe try having a little better diction, some real enunciation through the verses. So when I get to be with people like that will help me grow as a musician, that means the world.
It's nothing but a learning experience, I imagine. And it's a lot of fun too. But
Oh yeah.
And I've been telling all these guys, and especially yourself and Wes and them guys, I feel that you guys are the future of country music, because what country music has become today, it's appealing to 16-year-old, kids driving, 10-foot tall pickup trucks. And that's not country music, man. That's a cookie cutter, brill building type. Every song sounds the same. And you guys, every one of you guys have your own sound. You're playing, music that you've wrote yourself. And I honestly feel that you guys are going to be the future of what country music is going to be.
Well, that's what I'm hoping. We're shooting for world domination.
And it needs it. It needs
Good thing.
It
That's
needs
a
a
good
total
thing.
makeover.
Yeah, for sure. Like, don't touch my truck. Have you guys heard that song?
No,
Don't touch my truck. It's like a rap country song, and it was like bigger than most country songs. But anyways, who is your biggest influence in music in general? It doesn't have to be country.
in general, as far as vocal stuff goes, it's definitely the three of Elvis, Paul Rogers, and Chris Cornell. I think Paul Rogers is the greatest singer of all time.
I would have to agree.
He a lot of people don't know who Paul Rogers is, but he's bad company.
They call him the voice for a reason.
He growing up, I never could describe his voice. He sounds like rock and roll to me.
Yeah, and when he did a stint with Queen,
Yeah,
not long after Freddie Mercury had passed. Come on, man, and not to disrespect Freddie Mercury, but I thought Paul Rogers did just as good, if not a little better.
Paul Rogers has the ability to just nail a note, bolt it out if he needs to, or dial it in and almost whisper it at you, but he's still singing it crystal clear.
And he's a great singer. There's no doubt about that.
And then on the guitar side of things, I grew up on classic rock and blues, so Stevie Ray Vaughan,
Oh yeah.
Ted Nugent, David Gilmour.
I'm telling you right now, we can hang out.
It's one of my favorite things to do.
I mean, we can hang out. You mentioned David Gilmour. I mean, if you watch the live version of Shine On Crazy Diamond, just the 30-minute intro he does is amazing. I mean, everything he touches is gold. And you mentioned Stevie Ray. Been a Stevie Ray fan for years and years, probably before anybody even knew who he was. And his brother's just as good as well, Jimmy.
Oh, yeah.
What was that band he was in? The Fabulous Thunderbirds. Yeah, that's right. And
Tough enough.
come on, man, how you beat that? I mean, that's bluesy and heartful right there.
There's I can't remember which gentleman it is right now, but there's another local musician that actually has some pictures of him and Jimmy hanging out together years ago, like backstage at a Stevie concert or something. It's wild.
That guy from around here, like Eastern Kentucky or something. You're from Somerset, right?
I'm I'm between Somerset and Lexington. I'm from Lincoln County.
Oh yeah, I'm in Knott County. I'm not sure if you know where that is. In Eastern Kentucky.
I'm not too familiar with Eastern yet.
It's close to Pikeville. You know where Pikeville
Okay.
is. Everybody knows where
Yeah.
If they ask about Eastern Kentucky, you say, I live about an hour from Pikeville. That's how you explain where you live in Eastern Kentucky.
I'm an hour south of Lexington. So
that's not too bad for sure, man. And you can speaking of that, do you got any upcoming shows and stuff you want to talk about? And you can talk about your sponsor Cosmos as well.
Well, super grateful to have these guys. They I told them about doing the podcast with you guys and let them know that I'm just doing it through my phone. I don't have any sort of equipment to get up to date on technology. And they said that's not acceptable. So you're seeing me on an actual computer. I've got a mixing board and compressors run, and they were kind enough to let me use their shop so that I have a decent background instead of dog hair everywhere. And, anytime that I need strings, new guitar, mics, if they don't have it, they source it for me.
Nice.
So
It's
I don't
nice
have to go without.
Yeah, it's nice to have that kind of backing. I mean, and just financially itself, it's, because people don't realize, I mean, you guys aren't making a lot of money.
Most days I can't pay for the gas.
Yeah. And right now you're doing it for the love, man, and trying to get your name out there. And that's what I mean by it. I start calling this the new outlaw country, which I don't understand why we have to call real country music the new outlaw country, but that's what we got to call it just because of what country has went to.
Well, that brings up something that I spoke with a couple gentlemen about the other day. I was over at the Bluegrass Barrel House in Richmond speaking with their music manager, the man who does the booking over there, Larry Frakes, and Mr. Jeff Farthing, who puts on Bash on the Branch.
Mm.
And Larry asked us, he said, what's something other than outlaw or bluegrass that we can call this renaissance of real Kentucky music that's going on? And not too often do I come across a question that I just don't have an answer for. And that one, it stumped me. So if you guys can give some thought to that, let us know.
I mean, I just been calling it the new outlaw. I guess it could be like Outlaw 2.0 because the first round was Willie and Waylon and those guys, and not that they changed country music, but for the good. And it wasn't a total change. You had the outlaw guys, and if you liked them, you gravitated that way. And if you liked, the more, not really cookie cutter, but just the more traditional country stuff, you gravitated to that. And both of them are still considered country music. But what you guys are doing, to me,
It's like Collar Childers.
is country music. What we have on the radio today, and it's not that them guys aren't talented. I mean, but like I said, they sing about the same crap, just in a different way. And all
truck.
Oh, my girlfriend's prettier than yours. I got the clay on my truck is redder than yours.
Luke Bryan is the worst for that.
Dude, your cooler will never have more beer in it than mine will. And and they all take their girls home at 3 a.m. and run from their daddies. And I'm just, come on, guys.
Are you talking about Luke Bryan?
All of them. That's not
Collar
just
Childers is definitely not that though. Collar Childers is definitely what you would say is outlaw country. It's got pretty bad that you have to call real country music outlaw country music.
Yeah.
If you think about it, Chris Stapleton also is considered outlaw country.
Yeah.
I hate saying that. I hate saying outlaw country because I grew up on real country music.
I actually got the pleasure of meeting Tyler Childers a couple years ago, and as I'm sure he was tired and run down because it was his third day in a row hitting shows, and it's taxing, and especially when you're doing a 4-hour show. And he was so kind and personable to everyone that I can't imagine how he could produce any sort of cookie cutter stuff. I just don't think it's in him. I think he's going to stay true to himself and just do his thing.
Well, I know the country that they put out today, I call Hollywood country, because Hollywood definitely moved into Nashville, and they figured out that, if you look back at the 60s, 70s, 80s countries, I mean, some of them guys weren't good looking, but they could sing. But now they want you in jeans that are so tight that look like you stole them off your sister. They bedazzle the pockets off of them, and that's just, dude, you're touting to a look and not a talent and
Branding.
Yes, and I mean, what is sad is it works. Because if it didn't work, they would have ditched it a long time ago. So whatever they're doing, it's working, but quit calling it country music, because that's not what it is.
That's actually a big part of the reason of why I still wear this old canvas hat. I've had people tell me, that hat's raggedy, it's nasty, you need to get a new hat, get you a real country music hat, or go get a cowboy hat. And now I could be wrong, and he'll let me know afterwards if I am. But I swear, I think my dad picked this hat up at a car show for like $7 when I was pretty little. Not like single digits, but maybe 12, 13.
Right.
And I promptly stole it from him. One of the only things in my life I could say that I stole. And I never gave it back. It's just been on my head. I love it.
And that, to me, you're right. They
So
want you
this
to
hat's
wear.
my brand.
Yeah, and you know what? Not all country music singers are cowboys. You know, they don't all wear cowboy hats and boots. You know,
I've met cowboys. I don't want to be no cowboy.
no, them boys are too tough.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. I mean, I'm glad to hear guys like yourself and Wes, and I mean, I can name them. You know, a
And
bunch of
Honey
them.
as well. Honey as
Oh
well.
yeah, Wes's sister, Honey. I mean, she's done the show a couple times, and I mean, she can belt.
They're the real deal.
And I agree with you 100%. And there's no fakeness to it whatsoever. And they sing like they've lived. You know, it comes
Hard.
from it comes from inside, and you can tell when it's fake. But I mean, I just appreciate what you guys do because, like I said, you are the future of what I'm going to be listening to when I'm old, or my grandkids are going to be listening to. You know, and I just feel that's the truth.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm going to do my best to run and claw my way to the top if I can.
Well, that's like I tell everybody that comes on, if you make it big, still got to make time for us at least once in your big career.
Oh yeah.
You don't care to play again, do you?
No.
And then after that, I'll ask you about your upcoming shows and stuff like that.
Okay, I'll figure out a song real quick. See what's gonna happen.
Do you know any Tyler Childers songs? I know you was talking about meeting him and stuff. He's one of my favorite country singers. He's everyone's favorite country singer.
I think I've only ever done one of his songs, and every time I sing the chorus wrong on the second time around.
Oh, you know any Chris Stapleton songs?
Or one of your own. I mean, yeah, one of your own would be cool.
Well, it's up to y'all. I can either do one of mine or one of his. It don't matter.
It's up to you, man. It don't
Just
matter.
What if I give you two back to back?
That'd be great.
Two of your own songs back to back?
One of mine, one of theirs.
Okay, I mean, you can do two of your songs too, man. That's fine.
See if I can get her dialed in.
Take a needle up back off the ground. Can't believe I try to put you down. One last hit, that's all I need. Gateway drug to a better me. Where's my lighter? Can I borrow yours? Help me get that liquid cure. Last good vein on my left side. Guess that's what I'll use tonight. Taking a trip with my best friend. I'm gonna move back down to Florida again. Passed out walking to the door. Strung out on some stranger's floor. Siren tones and blinding lights. Please don't let it end my life. Taking a trip with my bed, and I'm gonna move back down to Florida again. Taking a trip with my best friend, I'm gonna move back down to Florida again. 18 months and now I'm coming home. Paid the price for what I've done. takes time and 6 long years. Keep your body clean and your conscience clear. Taking a trip with my best friend, I'm gonna move back down to Florida again. Taking a trip with my best friend, I'm gonna move back down to Florida again. Taking a trip with my best friend, I'm gonna move back down to Florida again.
That's one of my originals called Florida Again. One of those situations where it's about going out of town and doing things you ought not do.
That killed. That's awesome song.
Yeah.
I love it. And you know what? And I've told this to Wes and Honey and several of them that, to me, just you sitting there with that guitar playing that song, it couldn't sound any better than if you was in a studio with a whole bunch of musicians. To me, that right there is the purest of what you can do.
Well, I appreciate it, man. That's awesome.
That's
There's some things that the emotion of it and what you need to get across doesn't happen if it's not stripped down and raw.
yes.
So-
And I mean, I don't know why more country songs aren't just what you did. I mean,
Can't twerk to it.
Can't twerk to it. That's pretty true, man.
That is so true, man. But you know, that's why the scenes, like when you do the bars and all these venues, big or small, and it's just you and your guitar, man. That's when the raw emotion, like you said, you can't get a lot of your emotion out when you got some guy beating on the drums behind you and this big bass line going on, other than maybe just you, a couple other guys with nothing but just straight guitars just singing.
Like you did last night, which was absolutely a phenomenal show for sure. And I
Thank
wish I lived closer to Lexington, so I could have won. But what are you singing next for us, man?
Directly coming up will be Bash on the Branch.
Oh no, I was
Third
meaning
angle.
singing for us on here. My bad.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Y'all, I'm a little slow sometimes. You got to be patient.
I know you said he's gonna sing back to back songs.
Let's see. I think I can pull out little Chris Stapleton. I can't remember the name of the song right now, but I think I can play it.
Broken Halos.
I don't know that one.
It'll come to you when you start singing it.
Is it Tennessee Whiskey?
I actually refused to sing that song, and I wrote a song just in spite of it. I don't like all the Alicia Keys notes.
I agree.
I'm more of a DAC kind of Tennessee whiskey.
I agree.
Now I can Midnight Train to Memphis. I think I can pull that one out.
Okay.
All right, I'll put myself on.
Well, just look down, gave me 40 days. Instead of the fine that I could not pay. Say, walk right, you'll soon be home. Cross the line, and you're on your own. 40 days. The shotguns and barbed wire fences. 49 said, listen to the midnight train to Memphis. Whistle blows when the sun comes up. Head to floor, keep your big mouth shut. Eat your breakfast on the ground. Work like hell till the sun goes down. 40 days. the midnight train to Memphis. Well, now 10 for the jury and 10 for the judge. 20 more to forgive my grudge. When I get a 39, that's the longest day in a prisoner's mind. 40 days, shotguns and barbed wire fences. 40 nights to sit and listen to the midnight train to Memphis. Midnight train to Memphis. Midnight train to Memphis. Oh, midnight train to Memphis. Whew.
That's just speechless, man. You absolutely killed every song that you did, and I'm not.
Thank you, sir.
I don't care if people get offended or not. You're the best singer that I've had on here by far. I mean, I'm just gonna say it. I mean,
I greatly appreciate it, boss.
like
That is
no
killer.
joke, man. This feels like me and Tracy was texting each other and saying this is like a freaking concert.
This
man.
is the real deal. Yeah, that's what we were saying. This dude is the real deal. In fact, I just hunted you up on Facebook and sent you a friend's request. I'll be expecting that to be accepted.
I got you.
But,
Matter of fact, if it
tell-
won't make me look too bad, I'll just pull it up right now.
yeah. I mean, yeah, dude, that is the real deal. I'm speechless, man. That's awesome. And
Thank
I
you,
can't
gentlemen.
wait.
No
Really,
problem, man.
I can't wait. Hopefully you can make it over towards Eastern Kentucky a little bit. I live in Ohio, but I mean, I'm like 10 minutes from Ashland, Kentucky. I just crossed the bridge and I'm right there. So
You ain't too far from Sandy Hook, are you?
no, I'm about 20 miles from Sandy Hook, Grayson area up in there. Yeah.
I'll be in Sandy Hook the end of the month.
Dude, no joke.
Yes, sir.
I will have to send you some messages because I want to stop and get some pictures with you and stuff. That would be awesome.
What day is that, by the way? And tell us about your other.
Let me double
upcoming
check because I just got booked for it very, very recently. So I'm
That's
a little
actually
behind
well-
on the details.
Seth,
Yeah.
I can't work at night.
It'll be July 31st.
July 31st.
I believe it's going to be an all-day event. They're doing a benefit concert and family function event. It's going to be a family-friendly thing at the fire station there
I
in
wasn't
Sandy
gonna,
Hook.
yeah, I wasn't gonna do a podcast that day anyways. That's actually the day after my birthday. But yeah, man.
Well, happy early birthday, boss.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
And,
Wes, I can't work that day. I'll be hanging out with Reed, man.
Wes, I ain't Wes.
I said Seth, didn't I?
Oh,
Seth.
no, you call me Wes.
I'm sorry, man.
It's all good. I wish I could sing like Wes.
He probably just misses him.
That's I listened to it. I was cutting grass today, man. I got like 6 of his songs, and I'm playing and cutting grass and weed eating them.
That there's my old man.
Dude, how more pure can you get from that? I mean, come on. That's
But Reed, tell us about your upcoming shows and stuff.
I've got several things in the works right now, but what I'm super excited about is this month, July 23rd and 24th, I will be at the 3rd annual Bash on the Branch presented by Jeff Farthing. He's having me come out for that, and everyone's going to be there. Sarah Beth Terry's doing it. Going to be some great names playing there. And then next month on August 19th, I will be back over in McKee, over towards Jackson area, for the Bearded Man Music Festival. And that will be my first ever show with the full band.
oh, cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, man. I'll definitely put your Facebook music page in the description as well. On
I
YouTube.
appreciate it.
Oh yeah, man. You didn't have to do this interview. I mean, there's a lot of people that say no. Most people just leave me on red. So, man, I appreciate you absolutely doing.
I know the feeling.
Don't call me, I'll call you. That's the kind of stuff we get.
Yeah, 20% of the time it works.
That's better than none.
Yeah,
Remember the old Boomhire?
Man.
Well, they've always trying to figure out how did he get all them women. He said it was the 10%. He said he asked 100 women out, only 10% work with them. So we can work with 10%.
You know what I have found works best for me for booking shows and stuff? I pound pavement.
Sure.
I go door to door. I find a venue I want to play at. I show up guitar in hand, say, I'll play you a song right now.
What can they say to that? You know,
sometimes I say, get out.
But if that's the worst thing they say, I mean, okay, that's
no
one
loss.
way. Yeah, exactly.
Do they really tell you to get out? Wow.
Very few places are rude about it, but that has had the best outcome for me so far. Because a lot of places, if you reach out to them, they assume since you had to reach out to them that you're not on par with the level of musicians that they want.
Right.
Let's be honest. They be booking some crappy singers. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, there's people with talent that they won't book, but then there's local people that play music for 20 years and can barely hit any note. So, I mean,
there's been a ton of support, though, here, especially places like the Twisted Cork.
Oh, I was talking about Eastern Kentucky. I wasn't talking about where. That's just what I see here in Eastern Kentucky. I'm just going to be honest with you.
You're right, though. I mean, I guess the best way to do it, I mean, if you look at it like you were interviewing for a job and you wanted a job, you know, and you apply for that job and you really want that job, you give it 2 days max and you call those folks and say, hey, what's going on with this resume? You know, so that would be, just beat on the doors.
A good deal of performances for me just to get my foot in the door somewhere. And, you know, some people may view it as being opportunistic or predatory, and it is, but I take this guitar everywhere I go.
That's smart.
It doesn't leave my side. I was going to just enjoy supporting the guys last night, and unfortunately James Reed couldn't make it due to some vehicle issues. And
there you were.
I had my guitar with me, and I was lucky enough that they asked me if I could fill in for him instead of just going on with Logan Halstead and Daniel Kane. Either one of them can carry a full night's performance by themselves. They didn't need a third person. I was fortunate enough that they allowed me to be part of that.
And don't ever leave it now, because you never know who's going to ask you to play.
You never know. And
you was talking about getting, spending time and autographs and things like that earlier. And we had Mike Goldberg on from UFC announcers and all that. And he said that his mother told him, it was one of the best pieces of advice I guess somebody could ever have told somebody coming up. Sign every autograph.
It was his grandmother.
Was it? Yeah. She said, sign every autograph. That may be the 100th one you've signed today, but that's the first time they have seen you today. And you never know whose autograph you're signing. Spend a minute with them, because you never know who they are, who they're going to be, or who they are. So, and I just thought
that's a great point.
Yeah. And I just thought,
I apologize. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Go ahead.
There's an example of that really stuck with me, that I seen an interview where they asked Kobe Bryant why he was playing with all these injuries. You know, the man made his millions. He could have sat at home for the rest of his life, which should have been longer. And he didn't. He still came out and played as hard as he could with whatever injuries he had. And he told them it was because there are fans at home and fans in the stands that have spent the last dime that they could afford to, after saving for potentially years, to see him one time.
That's right.
And he wasn't going to let them down.
And that goes beyond being a champion. That's
the Mamba.
That's a human being.
Mamba mentality, which LeBron James doesn't have. Yeah, man, I definitely appreciate you being on, Reed, and I appreciate you co-hosting Tracy and Reed's link to his Facebook music page will be in the description. I want to thank Reed Gilliam for being on. I want to thank Tracy for co-hosting. Y'all have a good night and God bless.